Good evening, viewers, and welcome to the Art with World. Today we have a very eminent scholar and fiction writer with us, Janab Munir Ahmed Badini Sahab. Munir Ahmed Badini belongs to Balochistan, and he was a civil servant, but he was a great fiction writer, novelist, and short story writer as well. He has written more than 100 books, and he also served as various positions of government of Pakistan, like civil bureaucracy, and he also served as Chief Secretary, Gilgit-Baltistan. Thank you very much, Munir Ahmed Badini.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
No, it's our pleasure.
Great to see you, sir.
So let's start from, there are so many aspects of your life and your work which we can discuss, but I would like to hear from you first about your literary journey and many things, your education and how you got interested in literature.
If I am not exaggerating, then my literary journey starts from my school days. And when I was in the secondary school and then in the SSC, in the high school, I had a passion for writing something. And in the beginning I tried to write in Urdu, and I wrote some stories. Then I used to listen plays on the radio. Especially I used to listen plays in Balochi, which were broadcasted from Radio Pakistan, Quetta. ARSHAD was a very famous man,
we've heard of him.
And he had written so many novels, historic novels as well as social novels, and dramas and plays, and I used to listen very attentively to those plays. And then I came to Quetta, visited Quetta, so I met ARSHAD in Radio Pakistan, and then he invited me to participate in the children's program and kids program. And then from there onwards, my passion became more active, and I read books. Especially I was impressed from Saadat Hasan Manto, Krishan Chandra, Kanhaiya Kapoor, Intizar Hussain, Ahmad Nadeem Qasmi, Ibrahim Jalis, and so many other novels. And then I read certain periodicals and certain magazines which were published from Karachi and Lahore, Urdu Digest and Sayyara Digest, and the stories attracted my attention. And then I started to write on their pattern. So that was how things started moving.
Whose pattern did you adopt particularly?
Actually,
there are various. Manto has a different style of writing. Intizar Hussain has a different style of writing.
The most impressive thing for me was Maxim Gorky's technique. When I read Maxim Gorky, and that was marvelous, and it had a very deep impact on my thinking, and especially the romanticism of Krishan Chandra. That was beautiful. And then looking at the other side of the moon, as the people say, when I read Manto, it was another vistas which opened before my eyes, and I said that life could be described in this way as well. So that was another revelation to me. And then I went to the University of Punjab, Lahore, for a master's in philosophy. I did my master's in philosophy, and being in Lahore, that was the greatest change which I think was. There I read the Western philosophers, and I read Iqbal in modern philosophy, and I read Muslim thinkers and philosophers, and then I read Simon de Beauvoir and Jean-Paul Sartre, Husserl, Heidegger, and the rest of the German idealists. They impressed me. And reading these existentialist writers, particularly in a specific philosophies, but one philosophy alone, but I can express my philosophical thoughts on life or my worldview on life through my writings and novels. I started writing my diaries. Till this date, I write my Balochi diaries and English diaries. So it was in the beginning of this century that I left short story writing for a while, and I switched over to novel writing, and I started writing novels. And within one day, I remember that I had ideas of 2 novels at one time, and it was a very difficult. But then, being in the civil service, there were so much pressures on me, which I wanted to ease out the pressure through writing in the evenings, my short stories and my diaries and my novels. So that became a passion for me. So that's how I started my journey.
Well, there are so many important things you have just discussed, like the authors you have just mentioned, and your civil service experience, but we'll come to that later. I mean, you studied mainly in Noshki or in Quetta, and if you could tell something
I
about
did my
your
matriculation from high school Noshki, then I did my master degree from Degree College Quetta and my master's from Punjab University Lahore.
Okay.
And I remained in Lahore for 3 years, 2 years. And then I became lecturer in English, in philosophy in Degree College Quetta for 1.5 years or 2 years. Then I appeared in the CSS exam. After qualifying my CSS, again I went to Lahore. That was a Lahore different.
Civil Service Academy.
Civil Services Academy, yes. Yeah. But then I read some more about fiction, because that was a time when I felt that my passion was for fiction, and I wanted to improve the fiction. And then suddenly I thought that I could write well in my mother tongue. So I adopted the means of expressing myself through Balochi and English both. But Balochi was mainly dominated my thoughts and ideas. Balochi, there was no standard script till this date, but even then I felt easy in expressing my thoughts. So during that period of being in the civil service, I read so many writers, other writers, and Nobel Prize laureates and people from the subcontinent, Urdu writers. This is how the things moved forward.
Okay. While you stayed in Lahore, did you have a chance to meet different writers who were in Lahore at that time?
Oh yes. I was president of my literary society of the civil servants, and we used to have our literary gatherings once in a while, fortnightly. And I met Ahmad Radim Qasimi.
Okay.
Once he was called there, and he talked.
He edited Funoon at that time.
Yes, that time. Ahmad Nadim Qasimi Sahab was there, and then Qayyum Nazar, he also came in our academy, and then we talked to him about his experiences in Paris and the rest of the places. So in Lahore, I met some other figures also, and I was very keen to be in Lahore. I felt very good, because I used to go to Anarkali and buy books on Sundays. There were books.
Old books.
On
footpath.
On footpath. And wherever I went, I remembered Manto. And the old Anarkali, and then Bhati Gate, and these were places I could think about, imagine myself that Minto used to walk here.
Yeah.
I saw once Josh Maliabadi not shaking hands with him, but I saw him buying something with his stick in his hands, and he was strolling in the street with his black achkan, and that was fascinating.
What was in Manto's writing which you liked most?
Very good question. The trauma of partition, which has been described by Minto, I think nobody has ever described it so well. Especially when the partition occurs, there is exchange of mentally retarded person, taxing.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And Boo was another big thing.
Yeah, but it was not related to partition.
It was not related to partition. It was something related to libido and sex. But expressed it very well.
It was wonderful.
Wonderful. It was beautiful. And then when I read Koldo.
Yeah. That is remarkable. It's such a short story. I mean, 1.5 pages, but that...
unbelievable. Unbelievable. Ganje Farishte.
Yeah, sketches of
sketches.
Characters.
Oh my good God.
Meera
ji and Kashmiri and the rest of the people. Khali Botle, Khali Dabbe. Minto ignited my imagination. Minto ignited my imagination. It took me up to the stars. And I always imagined that, oh God, will be a time that I will write like Minto? And Kishan Chandra.
Well, talking of Minto and you being civil service, it must have been very difficult to write in the style of Minto, I think.
Oh, sure, yes.
But maybe you could tell something about your civil service experience.
Actually,
and then
I know.
Limitations
being in civil service was, in fact, putting my soul into a cage.
Yeah.
I don't regret my civil service years and days. I had a very good company of meeting other people, and I have written my academy days now in novel forms, where my characters are Punjabis, Baloch, Sindhis, people
from all over the country.
All over the country, how they behave, how they react to the things and events. But I was a free mind. But there were certain rules and laws and bylaws which compelled me to follow them in being in the civil service. But that was very difficult. But thank God my philosophy, I would say, gave me great help, that I wanted to serve the people, not to cheat the people, but to be sincere to them. Although I sacrificed some of my time, but I think I did well, in the sense that I never tried to belittle other people, or I didn't try to disappoint them if they were sitting outside my office. Yes, I entertained there.
And you served most of the time in Balochistan?
Yes, most of the time in Balochistan. Sometime I was at Jacobabad, but it was a very short time. My longest period was Secretary of Education, more than a decade. I served as Secretary of Education. That was my most creative period. I like to be Secretary of Education. I served as Principal Secretary to Governor, Principal Secretary to the Chief Minister, Commissioner Kalat, 5 districts, very volatile and very disturbed. But it was not disturbed at that time. It was peaceful. It was very good. And then I was Deputy Commissioner Pashin. I was Deputy Commissioner Gwadar, and Deputy Commissioner Khuzar. I was there as staff officer. So
it has been quite some time I have traveled in these areas. I have traveled in most of Balochistan areas, Gwadar, Kalat, Dasht area, Zargun and Muslim Bagh and Pashin. And I'm so much fascinated by its unique beauty, its silence, color of its mountains, And Gwadar, when I visited, it was not turned into a metropolis, or I mean, all these human activities like Gwadar port it had not started at that time. And its beaches, they were so fascinating, beautiful. I don't know what has happened to them now.
It was. Most of my novels, I hope you must have heard about the sunset at Giovanni. During World War II, the Allied forces has their base camp at Giovanni, Allied forces, and still the ruins are there. And I tried to, when I was in the USA, I tried to find out that book. Somebody told me that this is in the Congress Library, but I didn't find it there. So I, out of my own imagination, I thought if I could write that to the narration of the general's wife. So I imagined myself the general's wife, and I wrote my diary, and I wrote about the sunset. Jamhuriya Rokapt, the sunset at Giovanni. That was so many other novels. Idea of the novels came to me while my stay at Gwadar. And then I served in Pak-Iran border in Mashkel, just 15-16 kilometers from Iran. And it was the time of Khomeini. I visited the border towns, and they came to us also, Marzaban or the security guards. I wrote my first novel, Rekani Tala Halke, a village
in the
desert.
That was given the first time
yes,
award.
Yes, that's right. My first novel was awarded. And President Laghari was there when I received it. But I was not present in that ceremony. ARSHAD received my...
Coming back to your, fascination with Gorky and Krishan Chandra, mostly Marxist writers, and Gorky was quite direct in his novel Mother, contrary to his other writings like Lower Depths. But Manto is totally different. He was rather excluded from Progressive Writers Association in Pakistan. So these are quite different writers which influenced you in the beginning.
That is very strange. Yeah. That is very mysterious as well. Mysterious and strange in the sense that how could I explain to you the passion of creation? Creative activity is the most mysterious phenomena, as you understand. Yes, what impressed me most in Gorky was the technique of Gorky, the way he depicted his characters, other than his ideology.
Yeah, but I think his characters were mostly influenced by his ideology, and so was Krishan Chandra's work.
Yes, they wanted socialism, they wanted a new dawn, they wanted something new. And then I read Sajjad.
Sometimes they looked like pamphlets.
Yes, I agree with you. You're right. But then when I read Sajjad Zaid's Roshnai, it was another revelation. That was a different time. As it is, as the Germans say, versus Chong, or the intellectual construction of that time was different. People used to think, today the entire concept of leftism is changed.
Of course.
But there was a time when people took it very seriously.
Yes.
And then they propagated it. Literature is not propagation.
That's what I want to say.
Absolutely. And people still think about me. One of my short stories was published from Uppsala.
I have studied in Uppsala University.
Okay.
Once.
Oriental Studies, they have published some short stories. One of my short stories there, and they have written in the introduction that Mr. Badini is less ideological. I became very happy. Yes,
it was the oldest of Europe, one of the oldest university in Europe, Uppsala.
absolutely. So, sir, I still believe that literature is not a propaganda.
Yes.
Literature is something more than
Of course.
life.
It's discovery.
It is discovery,
going into
awareness.
uncharted
Uncharted planes, yes, uncharted paths. You discover yourself.
Yeah.
And I soon came out of that narrow definition.
Okay.
And but then afterwards I read some books on Gorky which were published from USA, a different Gorky.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in many ways, I'm a huge admirer of him. I was just trying to just to show differences between Manto and Gorky.
Okay, go on.
And then your other fascination, which I've read in your introduction, those are all mostly existential philosophers. And at that time, in most of the universities, they were very popular. I mean, when I was a young student, I used to read Sartre, Being and Nothingness, Simone de Beauvoir's novel, She Came to Stay, Second Sex, and Husserl, Kierkegaard, Either or, he wrote. And those were just fascinating books. But that was another extreme as well, as contrary to these writers. Which
You are right. You are right. That shows how one writer wavers, stumbles.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's interesting. That is why I just wanted to speak
Exactly.
more on this.
And
yeah.
then when I read Milan Kundera.
I have translated Milan
Oh,
Kundera's
great.
Immortality and his Art of Novel.
What
And
a-
he's my fantastic,
I
most
think,
favorite
I think
novelist.
Europe has ever produced such a great writer.
What a mind he
Oh
is.
my good God, my God. Milan Kundera is just great.
Yeah.
And I read Milan Kundera and Marquis.
I've translated Marquis as well,
my.
and Love in the Time of Cholera.
The time of God.
So somehow your favorite writers and my favorite writers are kind
I
of
think
similar.
so. I think so. We are common. And Marquis and
100 Years
yes,
of Solitude.
classical 100 Years of Solitude.
Yeah.
And then Kafka.
Kafka is
Letters. I read
Yeah.
letters of Kafka, where more than his fiction. And
Trial, Castle.
Castle, Trial,
Metamorphosis.
America,
uh,
He has not been to America, but he has
Yeah, yeah.
depicted America in a way.
yeah.
Castle.
Yeah. Oh, it's great, right?
Can you imagine somebody could write Castle?
I cannot. I mean, of course, he has written it, so someone can write it.
Can write
I
it.
can't imagine to. If I have to, I can't do that.
That was very, very fascinating. And then there was one Chinese, one Belgic writer, I've forgotten her name. Her husband was a Chinese general during the nationalist war in 35. She had written about China and Chinese life and in a fictional form. I've forgotten the name. So there are so many things which were, but finally, ultimately, my own thinking developed when I started writing the first trilogy in Balochi literature. That was Shal trilogy, Quetta. The old name of Quetta is Shal.
Shal. Okay.
Shal, the
Okay.
chadar.
Okay.
Shal coat, we used to call it Shal. Shal coat's tragedy. And then, sir, you can believe it that I have written a quartet as well. A novel in 4 novels. And I must tell you about my favorite writer is Najib Mahfouz.
Cairo trilogy.
It was a Cairo trilogy that compelled me to write Shal trilogy. It was, if I had not read Najib Mahfouz, perhaps I could not have written Shal trilogy.
Do you? I mean, of course, you might have noticed that it's such a simple way of writing. What Najib Mahfouz, the way he writes, and so much it It's so much fascinating, and you think it's part of your story, perhaps. He deals with the characters, he finds the characters which you find in everyday life, and then he makes them special.
Sir, the greatness of Najib Mahfouz. Now, there's no tradition of novel writing in Islamic literature.
Yeah.
There was no.
Yeah.
Yes, there were, but
Yeah.
not the like of Najib Mahfouz. There was no tradition of novel writing. There was no such tradition in literature. He is the first Arab
Yeah.
who won the Nobel Prize,
Yeah.
and he wrote about Tahrir Square,
Yeah.
the place where he used to
Yeah.
sit in the cafe and used to talk with the hookah smoking Arabs with their robes,
Yeah.
with their Turkish caps,
Yeah.
and when they used to interact with each other, talking about life, about British rule, about the
I mean, the best thing is that he writes about ordinary life, ordinary characters, and he makes them special. The way he writes.
who can forget his characters like Yasin, like
Yeah.
Yasin, and so many, like Tolstoy's War and Peace. I used to remember all these characters once when I read War and Peace.
I also remember Andrei.
Andrei.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah.
When he's wounded in the
Yes. In the war.
war,
And Napoleon comes to, and he looks
he looks
to the universe,
Universe.
skies, and dead bodies and wounded bodies around him. And the purpose of his joining the army was to challenge a duel to the guy who had eloped with his fiancée.
Absolutely.
And then he thinks, what a trivial purpose this was in when everyone is dying, and they were also dying. So he was pursuing a very trivial cause.
Sir, can you bear me out that the first novel of Tolstoy was Sebastopol Tales.
Okay, I haven't read that.
That was the first novel when he was in Crimea, fighting a war with Turks.
Yeah.
He was in the field, and he had opted to be in the, and he describes the war scenes, the wounded.
Yeah.
What do you talk of Tolstoy? Sir, he's the giant of literature.
Yes,
Huh?
yes.
Tolstoy is a giant of.
I totally agree, and I remember so many parts of his War and Peace. Those are just unimaginable. The way he has written them, and many parts of Anna Karenina as well.
Anna Karenina, Haji Murad.
Haji Murad.
Haji Murad.
Imam Shamil's story and
Imam Shamil's story. And I have written a novel. I have written a novel on that very pattern of Tolstoy, which has given. And then coming down to Albert Camus' short stories. So my good God!
I haven't read his short story. I have read his novels. Outsider, particularly.
One short story which I read about Albert Camus was The Writer at Work.
Okay.
A writer at work. Then I wrote a Baluchi story, giving it the same title, but I wrote it that the central idea I got from Albert Camus' story.
Okay. Okay. And there is another guy who has written a novel on one character of Outsider, the Arab who is killed. So he makes a character who is nephew of the Arab who is killed. And he says that in the whole novel he was just mentioned like any person who can be killed. And I've forgotten its name. What's the name? He's a modern writer, contemporary writer who has written that.
That's right.
But I'm more fascinated by his novels like Outsider, Happy Death, The Fall,
Caligula, drama,
Plague,
play.
yeah, and Myth of Sisyphus as well.
Myth of Sisyphus. He says that all the philosophy, the first problem starts with committing suicide.
Yeah, yeah, he has written on, and they also show that most of the writers write about suicide, but they
Don't commit.
One exception was that who was really interested. I don't exactly remember his name. But these are very great writers who you have just mentioned. And incidentally, they are all my favorites. But coming to your work, you are such a prolific writer, writing 100 books and kind of 80 novels.
171 novels.
171 novels?
Yeah.
How could you manage that? And how could you find themes of this novel? It's a great
That
work.
is a madness.
Madness with a method.
Madness has got a method. Okay. So, yes, see, I do write. I do write because I have a passion for writing.
Okay.
I love writing. Writing gives me a religious experience.
Hmm. Spiritual
Sort of
experience.
Special experience, you could call it.
Okay.
So,
You were a changed person after completing a novel?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't like my writings afterwards when I finish them.
No writers even reads again when they are finished.
I just fear it.
Uh-huh.
They dominate me.
Uh-huh.
And I just put them in my dryer and in my cupboard till the time somebody comes and asks for publishing it. My 85 novels have been published so far.
Okay.
And in English I have written a novel 2 years back that's published. It was The Whispers of River Ravi.
Uh-huh.
It is in English.
Okay.
And The Blind Man and God. The
Okay.
Blind Man, the God, that is the collection of my short stories translated into English
Okay.
by a student from Turbat, professor from Turbat University.
Okay.
Fazal Baloch has translated by.
Mhm.
Now Pakistani Academy of Letters has committed that they will translate one of my Balochi novels into
Okay.
Urdu.
Great.
So I have handed over the manuscript to them. Let's see
Mm.
if they.
What are the most dominant themes in your fiction and novels, particularly?
Alienation.
Well, you like existential philosophers, so alienation should be
Alienation,
part of your
mystery
work.
of
No.
life,
Yeah.
the purpose of life. Has got a life a purpose? Is there a purpose in life? If there is, what is that?
Okay. And most of your work is in Balochi language, I guess.
It is.
Right.
I've written 8 English novels.
Okay. Good.
One novel is on existentialist theme, is the Didak the Other, and the other people, other places, searching the center.
Mhm.
Center is a very good novel
Okay.
in the context of Pakistani society.
Uh-huh.
And centric the center. I don't remember the names of my novels.
You are so busy in writing, you can't remember your
I don't
names.
remember.
So are they also, kind of dealing with day-to-day problems of Baloch society, problems of youth, and other social
Yes,
issues?
my writings are focused. We have got a very acute sense of Baloch identity.
Okay.
I want to give it a more cogent, more logical definition, because I tell the youth that we belong to the human society.
Oh yes.
We are part of Pakistani society.
Yeah.
We live in modern state of Pakistan.
Yeah.
We interact with Sindhis, with Punjab, with KPK.
Mhm.
We talk with the writers there, with intellectuals there. And then we interact with them. So we have to find out our identity in work,
Oh yes. Mhm.
in contribution to our collective good.
Yeah.
But that is the only solution. And I'm so glad that Pakistan Academy of Letters have given me a lot of respect and a lot of status. When I got the highest award,
Yeah.
Kamal-e-Fan.
Yeah.
So I was competing with the rest of the writers, of Urdu writers,
Mhm.
Punjabi writers, Sindhi writers,
Mhm.
and then I was nominated.
Mhm.
And I was nominated by the rest of the people from
Jury, yes.
jury.
Mm.
I don't think so. I write today. Now young youth come to me and they said, "Sir, we want to be writers. How possible?" I said, "How many pages you write every day?"
Mm.
I used to write 20 pages every day.
Ah, okay.
In the beginning. Now I write 10 pages.
Mhm.
And then if tired, I write 5 pages. How many pages you have written last week?
Mhm.
And if they say no page, I said, how can you expect that you should be a writer?
Mhm.
There is no shortcut to hard work.
Mhm.
You have to give time. You have to
Okay.
sit.
Mhm.
People plan to be writers,
Mhm.
but writing is not a planned affair. It's
Yeah.
not planned affair. You have to create. You have to sit. You don't want to sit. You don't want to create, but you have to create.
Yes, yeah. I mean, rigor is most important thing. You have
Rigor
to
is
work
important.
very hard. Yeah,
This rigor is your life.
yeah. So, how do you see the current Balochi literary scene overall in Pakistan, and Balochi who are writing at this age, particularly young Balochi who are writing fiction, poetry?
It would not be an exaggeration, sir, if I say that at present in Pakistan, most of the literature, most of the writing occurs or is produced in Balochistan.
Really?
Exactly. I asked the Urdu-speaking people how many novels in Urdu have become very famous
Mm-hmm.
during the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
How many novels have been written? Yes, I mean the novels who are of that standard.
Okay.
Maybe, yes, I don't say that Urdu novel is far away.
Mm-hmm.
Punjab, no novel is coming up in Punjabi.
No, there are many actually.
There are now coming up. Sindhi is advanced,
They're also writing a lot. Yeah.
more advanced. Baluchi is less advanced.
Mm.
But Baluchi reading is more.
Okay.
Most of the books which are published, translated from Punjab, they are sold in Balochistan.
Okay.
People read. Readership is more in the youth.
Okay.
It's a good sign. It's a good sign people are taking interest in philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
People of Balochistan love philosophy, literature. This is a good sign.
Yeah, of course, this is, and especially if young guys are writing. Are there any women writers as well in Balochi literature?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
We have one writer was sitting just down below, Zeenat.
Okay.
She's Gaur Malik is there, and then young writers are there who are coming up. They are slowly and gradually coming up.
So
Writing.
they are mostly writing poetry or fiction?
Fiction as well.
Okay.
Women are mostly in favor of fiction
Okay.
than boys.
Okay. And what are popular themes in current, your contemporary Balochi literature?
Marriage, conflicts, social conflicts, economic problems, family problems.
Okay.
These are the themes which normally they write on that.
Okay.
They're
Okay.
trying. They're
Okay.
trying to become
All
writers.
right. You never wrote poetry?
Never.
Okay.
I once tried, but then I thought in the university, when I was in the university, I thought I am not a poet.
Yeah.
My soul is poetical,
Of course.
but no, I could not be.
Okay.
I love prose
Okay.
as compared to poetry.
But still, you might have read poets, and you might have liked
I
some
do
poets.
write. I read Ghalib. I read Iqbal. I read Faz, I listen Shahir Ludhianvi, I listen so many other writers of Pakistan, poets of Pakistan, Ahmed Faraz. And I have met some of them during my student days. And I listen poetry. I read Iqbal. Always.
Right.
And I've read Iqbal's reconstruction, Iqbal's Khudi, Bekhudi, Ramz Bekhudi, Armaghan Ijaz. And it's so.
You read his Persian poetry as well?
Yes.
Most of Balochis know Persian as well.
It's so good. I've got translation of the Persian, but sometimes I just go on writing at random. And I understand. And Javed Nama, I was reading, and then Payam Mashriq is totally Balochi. I was reading it some years back in Karachi. I bought it, the translation was there on the opposite page. But I left the translation and I read its original Persian. I read this is all Balochi. I mean, the words are similar to Balochi, and Iqbal's Persian poetry is very deep. In Pakistan, people don't read Iqbal in Persian.
Well, they don't know Persian.
They don't try to understand him.
Yeah, but those young guys have totally different preferences. I mean, it's so much competition. They are more in how to read and get jobs rather than to indulge in literary activities. I don't know. We used to read a lot of literature when we were young students.
We used to read a lot of literature,
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah. When you were a student, I was just reading, you were quite active for some time in student politics as well. So,
Yes, I was part of politics.
Yeah, did it reflect your experiences in your writings, or you just...
They do.
They do.
But my definition of politics is different from a practical politician. Definitely.
I can understand.
Politics is not my passion.
Yes. Yeah.
Literature and philosophy are my passions.
Yeah. It takes time to discover yourself, what your real passion is. I mean, we were also very active in politics, but later we thought it was a different...
In politics, everybody is not a statesman.
Yeah.
So most of the time you are an activist, or emotions play a part in your upbringing. You raise slogans. Raising slogans is not of my chemistry.
Yeah, I can understand.
So that gave me a sudden sense that why should I Murdabad and Zindabad? Life has got so other dimensions.
Yes, yeah.
And I tell the youth, I said, okay, I don't oppose politicians or politics, it's part of our life. But think, what is your passion?
Yeah.
Sartre has said man is a useless passion. But you have to understand your passions as well.
Yeah, but at the same time he says that you have to create a purpose in your life so that you could relate to. Otherwise,
you are free. You are condemned to choose.
Condemned.
You are.
He says you are condemned. Man is condemned to be free.
Now, if you are condemned to choose, what he means by that?
Yeah.
I was reading Sartre's War Diaries.
War Diaries. Okay.
It was very interesting. He gives so many. Sometimes the writers, when they write their diaries and their letters, they become more important than fictional work.
Of course.
They inspire you.
Yeah.
And once I was reading, there was a time when I used to buy so many books from Liberty Market. And one more important thing which I forgot to Erich Fromm.
Erich Fromm, yeah, he was non-fiction guy.
He was non-fiction.
But he was great, I mean, man for himself.
Said the point, why I like Erich Fromm. During my time, there were two extremes. Freud's psychoanalysis,
Yeah.
Marx's dialectical historical materialism.
Yeah.
Erich Fromm reconciles both.
Yeah. Erich Fromm as well as William Reich as well.
To some extent.
Yeah. I've forgotten Erich Fromm's books, but I used to read them. Especially
To be and to have.
I have read that book.
What a book.
Yeah.
The most classical book which he has written was The Anatomy of Human Destructiveness.
Yes. Yeah.
I tell the youth, go and read Erich Fromm's Anatomy of Human Destructiveness, a voluminous book
Yeah.
on human destructiveness. He has given a very in-depth definition of human destructiveness. Aggression.
Yeah.
One aggression which is natural. You compete, you go forward. But if you cross that red line, when you become violent, then you lose everything, your own humanity. So that sort of aggression, God forbid.
Yeah. So what are you writing on these days? What are your upcoming projects?
Diaries.
Diaries. So you're fascinated by diaries, right? Kafka's diaries and
Kafka's diaries and Gorky's letters and Václav Havel's.
Václav Havel, that Czech writer.
Czech writer.
Velvet
Václav was,
Revolution.
yes, a politician, no doubt, but a letter to Volga, his wife.
Okay.
He has written from prison letters. My God. It's so fascinating, so great. That is something I've been reading time and time again.
And some of your diaries and letters have been published as well.
Not much. I have not published my diaries.
There are. I mean, in your biography, I've read that he is.
One of my yes, they have taken it in that way. I have written one of my diary, burn my letter.
Okay.
Burn my letters. I have written a fictitious father writes a letter to his son.
Okay.
So he has written it in a diary form.
Okay.
So he has given a title, burn my letters.
Okay.
So that has become very youth like it. Baluchi, it was in Baluchi.
Okay.
So from that, this demanded that you should carry it out further.
Okay.
One series, two, then third.
Right.
I said, sir, it's difficult. I can't write it.
Munir sir, it was fascinating talking to you. I enjoyed so much talking to you.
It is always.
Yeah,
But I'm so glad that you have touched the most weakest point of my. I've forgotten what is there in life. You have brought me to a point which is my weakest point.
Okay.
I'm glad. Thank you very much for World Service, Pakistan Television,
Okay.
to provide me this opportunity of talking to you about literature, about past, about our present, and about our future. Grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much for kindly sparing time for us.
My pleasure,
And,
sir.
so viewers, thank you for watching this program. See you next Sunday, same time.